Okay, so somebody asked me to explain the relationship between, I did a video months ago, probably 9 months ago at least, called the huge swing, where I kind of made up an acronym just partly to have fun, but it was basically describing the sort of the few applications of force you need to make a golf swing work. So to kind of break it down into its simplest form, instead of thinking of it doing a whole bunch of different maneuvers and shallowing, how can you make it more simple so you just have a basic, I do this, I do that kind of idea. So the huge swing idea was heave it up. And so the important part of that is put enough energy that it can kind of float to the top such that you have a chance to start moving forward. So heave it up. And if you want to get a feeling of it, do it with one arm where you don't have the strength to, or I'll get the trainer out too, but heave it up, ground, accelerate through the ball. Accelerate can be rotate. Either rotate your hips hard or rotate your shoulders through the ball, whatever you want to think about it. I'll describe it with a trainer now. So, heave up, ground, accelerate, heave up, ground, accelerate. So, the master move, Mo Norman isn't alone in describing this as a significant maneuver in a golf swing, which is, you see people do this, you sort of drop the elbow in, then you rotate through. So the real question is, how does that move happen? Are you doing it deliberately? So this is why there is no heave up, drop the elbow in, ground, accelerate. Because the grounding maneuver and the elbow coming down is really the same thing. It's as you ground, as you shift forward, as you transfer your weight or pressure, a lot of different descriptions, not rotate, transfer without rotating, and then rotate. That's the move we're talking about. So you can see it and feel it easily with the trainer. It's just a question of giving it time and then turning. So the difference would be, if I don't give it any time, I have sort of a lower power swing. If I give it some time to drop, I have to go harder. So that's what you're figuring out how to do. Two things. Drop it down onto the plane such that you can rotate through and you don't have to stall because you're going to miss the ball. So when Mo Norman did this move, he did it this way. He went into this leg and he described that as, this is what drives it. So when he drops his body, the club drops in here, and he does a dramatic version like this, but he's just describing saving all this up and then rotating through. So to really hit it far for him, he keeps the club way back here. Then the club head, you can see, is way farther away from the ball. So it's got more distance to travel, so it has to move faster. So, and I wouldn't say that I'm not good at doing that move anyway, anywhere near like he did it, or Ben Hogan, where you see a really dramatic version of that club staying way back and then accelerating through. But it produces speed. But even if you're only doing it sort of in a moderate way, it's still doing two important things, which is dropping the club into the right place such that you can rotate, and also adding some energy without having to apply more force. So here's one thing I would caution people on. You see that move happening, and then people think, what I need to do is this. That's not what's driving that motion. What's driving that motion is the weight transfer. The weight transfer just moves things down, and then you go. So I'll try to do example of it. So again, it's heave up, ground, accelerate. So we'll try it. That's a good one. If you can give it enough, see, it's getting really more power than I want for my pitching wedge, but the more you can let it drop, the more energy you're saving up, the harder you can hit it. So I'll do one where I don't do much of a drop, and we'll see how far this goes. So there's sort of a normal one without a lot of drop, and that's going to get me about my 120 shot. But now, if I do a little more grounding, waiting, letting the elbow drop in farther, maintaining this angle a little longer, I can make it go farther. So I'll try to make one go a little farther now. So then I waited for it a little longer and then rotated hard to catch up, basically. So there's more like 133, and if I work at it, I could get that to go even a little farther with a pitching wedge. So that's the move, and that's how it relates. It's still just toss it up, and the weight transfer should be happening as the club gets to the top. So it's not it's a continuous motion, really. But then the timing element is rotate when you've gotten to the place where you can rotate without stalling. So if your rotation has to stall in order for you to get to the ball, you're turning too soon and you're not giving it enough time. So that's the element you want to work on. And the way to feel that most easily is just by swinging this heavy object. You can't rotate too soon. It's too heavy. You just have to wait for it and then go. If you want to put some speed on it, you wait and go. Wait and go. It's really a big throwing motion. And that's the other way you can think about it that Ben Hogan said. It's sort of a right arm throw. So I'll try one more, see if I can get even a little bit longer. Give it a lot of time in transition. Let's see what that one does. So there's one even just a little longer. More like 142 off the back of the green. Who needs that? But shows you that you can add a lot of power if you want to. So there's the answer. That's how those things link. The grounding and the master move are really one and the same thing, but it's driven not by an activity of the upper body, but by a shifting and lowering of the lower body.